Thanks, Pastor Dave. Good morning. I feel privileged to be standing before you today. Thanks to you for your cards and calls and emails and visits, and most especially for your prayers during my recent hospitalization and recovery. In recent weeks, our congregation has been focusing on the 7 faith practices of Christians. Financial giving is one of those important faith practices. Please listen to these words from the Gospel of Mark. Jesus sat down near the collection box in the temple and watched as the crowds dropped in their money. Many rich people put in large amounts. Then a poor widow came and dropped in 2 small coins. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, "I tell you the truth. This poor woman has given more than all the others who are making contributions, for they gave a tiny part of their surplus. But she, poor as she is, has given everything she had to live on." Eugene Peterson in the Message translates that last verse like this: "All the others gave what they'll never miss. She gave extravagantly what she couldn't afford. She gave her all." It would be easy for my wife, Joanne, and I to contribute financially because we think that Good Shepherd needs our money. But we're only one of 388 households in Good Shepherd. The reality is that Good Shepherd Lutheran Church won't go under without our money. We give not because Good Shepherd needs our money, but because we've come to realize that giving provides us with a source of joy, belonging, and spiritual growth. The central issue of our financial stewardship is our need to give. It's a faith practice, a spiritual discipline, if you will. We give not out of what we think this church needs to receive, but out of what we believe God is calling us to give. I can tell you that we weren't always there. In 2 weeks, we'll celebrate our 43rd anniversary of membership in this congregation. And we've made a financial pledge to this congregation every year of that membership. We were both raised in Christian church-going families, and financial stewardship was modeled by our parents. So when we joined Good Shepherd shortly after we were married, there was never a thought that we wouldn't contribute financially to this congregation. But for several years, our pledge was based on how much we had left over after everything else was paid for. And then at some point, our biblical and theological beliefs about Christian giving and financial stewardship began to change. I can't recall whether that change was the result of a precipitating event like an annual stewardship appeal, or whether it was part of the process of slow and steady spiritual growth. But we realized that God wanted more than just our leftovers. We grew to believe that everything we have is a gift from God, and that He expects an appropriate percentage of it to be dedicated for His purposes. We asked ourselves, how is God calling us to respond? We prayed about that question, and the answer came back that God wanted us to give generously, not selfishly. So we calculated what percentage of our net income we were giving to the church. And I can tell you at that time, it was a pretty low figure. In determining what to pledge that year, we made a commitment to ourselves and to God to increase our percentage giving by 1% of our net income that year, and to increase that percentage every subsequent year until we got to 10%. Some years it was easier to do than others, and I confess that there were some years where we didn't manage that 1% increase. But even in those years where we didn't increase our pledge by 1% of our income, we still increased our pledge, honoring our commitment to keep moving toward our 10% goal. In looking back, I can tell you that while we've probably never had everything we've wanted, we've always had everything we need, and usually much, much more. We're grateful to God for our ability to contribute financially to Good Shepherd, to help other people through God's work in this congregation. Why do I believe it's important for you to hear our story? First and foremost, I hope that you will believe that I have not shared our story out of pride or boastfulness, but rather in a spirit of humility. I also hope you understand that our decision about percentage giving was not motivated by judgmental or legalistic thinking, but it came as a result of a personal faith commitment, a faith practice for which God's grace empowers us. Secondly, I hope you will realize that our story is an outcome of our asking what God was calling us to give, not out of what our church needed to receive. Finally, our story is one of incremental annual growth toward a specific goal. And that's where this year's Consecration Sunday program comes in. As we move toward Consecration Sunday, which is 2 weeks from today, each of us will be thoughtfully and prayerfully considering our answer to the spiritual question, what percentage of my income is God calling me to give? In your bulletin, there's an insert called a Grow One Step chart. I'd like you to take that sheet out of your bulletin at this time and turn to the stair step side of that chart, which is reproduced on the screen behind me. I'm going to give you some numbers to write in, so if you don't have a writing instrument, our ushers are prepared to hand some out to you. If you need a writing instrument, raise your hand and our ushers will see that you have one. One right here. Okay, starting at the lower left of that chart, on the first blank, the blank that says $0, please write in the number 31. 31. This means that 31 of our member households are not recorded as contributing to the financial support of the church ministries during the current year. That's January through September of 2012. Now, some of those members may have contributed through loose offerings or other anonymous ways, but they are not on record as having contributed financially to our congregation. Now let's move up one step and write in the number 59 on that 1 cent to $5 line. This equals a breakfast at a fast food place or a venti coffee at Starbucks once a week. Are you ready for the next line? The number is 40. Perhaps the cost of a fast food lunch or a cafe sandwich at Panera once a week. So far, we've accounted for 33%, 1/3 of our congregation. Let's keep moving. For the $10 1 cent to $20 per week line, the number is 41. 41. That's the cost of a movie ticket once a week. I'm going to continue to give you numbers for the remaining lines, but I think you've had enough examples. I believe you've gotten the point. For $20 1 cent to $30, the number again is also 41. For $30 1 cent to $40, the number is 24. And for $40 1 cent to $50, the number is 18. We have now accounted for 2/3 of our member congregations, of our congregation's member households. Let's keep going. For $50 1 cent to $70, the number is 46. 46. For $70 1 cent to $100, the number is 23. For $100 1 cent to $200, the number is 46. 46. By the way, on September 20th, 2012, the Washington Post published on the front page a report entitled "Thriving Through the Tough Times," in which it identified the 10 most affluent counties nationwide. Montgomery County ranked number 10 on that chart, with a median household income of $92,909. This step on our chart, $100 to $200 a week, represents a tithe of that median Montgomery County income. For $201 to $400, the number to write in is 17. 17. For $401 to $500, the number is 1. We have one household that gives at that level. For over $500 per week, the number is also 1. We've now accounted for the giving patterns so far in 2012 of 100% of our member households. One way in which we ask you to consider your level of giving is to find where you currently are on this chart, find what your current level of giving is, and prayerfully consider moving up at least one step in 2013. Grow one step is one of the mottos of this year's stewardship drive. So we encourage you to prayerfully consider growing one step on that chart. Now please turn over your sheet and look at the chart on the back. Let your eyes go down the left side of the scale until you come to your approximate salary level, your approximately weekly income level. Now move your eyes across to the current weekly giving level, to your current weekly giving level to God's work through this congregation. Then move your eyes up to the top of the chart to locate the percentage of your income which that level of giving represents. Another way in which we will ask you to consider what you give in 2013 is to prayerfully contemplate growing by 1%. So again, our stewardship's appeals theme is grow one. Grow one step on the chart, or grow 1% on this chart. You've got two charts to consider. We ask you to prayerfully consider growing one, one step or 1%. In case you haven't already realized it, our annual stewardship campaign this year is not about fundraising. It's about helping each of us to grow spiritually in relationship with God through the faithful management of what God has given us. In 2 weeks, on October 28th, we will celebrate Consecration Sunday. During worship that Sunday, you will have an opportunity to fill out and present your 2013 financial pledge to God's work through our congregation. Following each worship service, we will have a catered celebration brunch, and we hope everyone will be there. In order for us to know how many people for whom to prepare, the ushers will now distribute Consecration Sunday reservation cards. As Charles plays some special music for us, please take a couple minutes to complete your reservation card, and then return them to the center of the aisle, and the ushers will return to pick up your completed cards. We need one card completed per household. To make sure that we leave no one out, we'll make personal calls during the week of October 21st to those families from whom we've not received a reservation card. So please help us by completing your card and returning it right now.